Rockland Fire Protection District meeting to order. Roll call, Marcia Lanowski present, Amy Bernstein
Present.
David Anderson
Present.
and we have Fire Chief Siebert and Deputy Chief, you mentioned it, I can't read it on your shirt, I'm sorry. Picasta. Treasurer Carl Snowland, Attorney Ryan O'Connor, and the audience.
Members of the public.
Members of the public. Thank you, Brian. And if we can stand for pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So I'd like to open the hearing, public hearing on the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget and appropriations ordinance. I'd like to open the hearing at 6:01. Okay.
The budget that I have prepared for the board's consideration today is, for all intents and purposes, the same as the preliminary budget that we discussed a little over a month ago and was posted. The one change is that I would recommend that we would have ended up with about a $50,000 budget surplus this year. That rather than putting that surplus into our reserves, that we actually pay down $50,000 worth of the building mortgage. So I had made that change to the budget ordinance, but I also have, if the board does not, would rather not do it, I also have copies of it without that, so that we won't get hold up in terms of whichever way you'd like to go with it. I have copies of the budget. So just in for the public, basically, when we do the ordinances by the different funds, and at this point we just have the general or corporate fund, the ambulance fund, and the tort liability fund. So the estimated appropriation for the I've got 3 copies. These are the ones that need to be signed if they choose to go with.
If they, yeah, I made copies, so I wasn't sure you were going to have them.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So
the corporate fund appropriation is $381,150. The ambulance fund appropriation is $270,000, and the liability fund would be $7,000 for a total appropriation of $658,150. Then, as far as the expenses, I said the building operations, building maintenance, $5,900, utilities estimated about $12,600, mortgage is $90,000, mortgage pay down is the added item, $50,000, and then a contingency of $8,000 if something breaks, if the air conditioning goes off or whatever. So that would give us an appropriation of $166,500 for that. And then for district administration, legal $12,000, salaries $6,000, education $2,000, office expense $26,550, and again contingency $12,000. That would be, again, primarily thinking in terms of legal, if something really off the wall comes up that would need to be dealt with. So again, as we mentioned before, we will budget, manage to the budget without those contingencies. So if those contingencies are there, so we would not have to open the budget again should we need to spend monies from an emergency. And again, so for a total of the district administration, $34,650. And then for fire and rescue services, we have the intergovernmental agreement. So we do 40% out of the general fund for $180,000. So that gives us a total of $381,150. We will also transfer $4,673.76 to the ambulance fund and $91.35 to the tort fund, just because the projected expenses will probably be slightly more than we will actually put into those funds. So we'll move a little bit from the corporate, which we're allowed to do. On the ambulance fund, Again, there's just the one expense item is the intergovernmental agreement at 60% for ambulance, so that's going to be $270,000 in total. And then finally, the liability or tort fund. The liability insurance are estimated about $7,000. So that is that. So I think at this point, Marcia, needs to ask for any comment from the public on the budget.
Yeah, is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on the ordinance as presented? Nope.
So now you can close the hearing.
Okay, so I'd like to close the public hearing of the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget and appropriations ordinance at 6:06 p.m.
Perhaps take a vote on that.
Well, yeah, that's the next item.
I mean, vote on the closing.
Vote on the closing?
No, you don't have.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You just open and close it once it's done. That's
Okay.
I got it here.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2019-01 as presented and amended?
I'll make a
Not
motion.
amended?
It's not, no, it's
Not,
not.
it's not amended, or just?
No.
Just as presented.
Right, as presented
okay.
with the $50,000 mortgage payment.
Yes, yes, my apologies.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second that. Roll call vote, trustee Anderson,
Yes.
trustee Malinowski, yes, trustee Bernstein.
Yes.
So now we need 3 copies. Treasurer needs to sign it, secretary needs to sign it, president needs to sign it, and then they go to Brian, and he'll file it with the county.
And that's, I was just gonna ask, confirm that. I file with the contract, I'll probably do that like a next Monday, I think. Because I have a couple, I file for a bunch of them, and that way it helps.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 5, consideration of minutes of the regular meeting of the Rockland Fire Protection District Board of Trustees for June 10th.
There's multiple copies, there's a couple copies there. I always make like 4 copies for you to look at. All we really need to do is if
Okay, my name is spelled wrong.
Also, number 1, it says President Rogers.
Okay. Look, I'm gonna take one of these, we're gonna note the changes. I'll go make the changes to the Word document and send you a corrected one that shows that.
Okay.
I'm gonna steal your copy just so I have something to write. So we got that, item number 1 we got fixed because we got his name right below that. And what's the next thing?
Under absent, trustee Dave Anderson should be A-N-D-E-R-S-E-N.
S-E-N. Okay? And I'll make sure that they're spelled properly throughout.
Do you have a comment? Or,
No, he was
oh, okay.
the name spelling.
They did it for
But
22 years.
going,
Did I get yours too?
no, just Anderson.
Oh. Okay. Any other corrections? I'll have to hold on to it.
10,000 miles away.
Yeah.
That was 10,000 miles away. I could
So
have
was
done
I.
So please go approve those and the corrections have to be made.
Correct. What you're gonna do is approve them as amended. Once I get to that, I wanna check my notes on what it was so I can tell you what my notes suggest the answer should be. Here we go. Trustee Malinowski made the motion to adjourn, seconded by trustee Bernstein. Steen or Stein?
Bernstein.
Snobler. Rumpf.
And you say spelling errors and things like that, I'm okay with it.
Correct.
Anyone make that motion? Or, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting from June 10th as amended.
I'll
Second.
second. I'll second that. Gotta get the system work out.
Sorry. Just a voice vote?
Yeah.
Not a roll call vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, ayes have it.
Okay.
Look it up.
For me?
All caught up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Fire chief's report.
Go ahead, Mike.
Earlier, I handed out just the Rockland Fire Protection District monthly, as well as the Libertyville total monthly report. So those are for you to review. We have 2 recent retirements that we just hired for, all of them being lieutenants. We have 1 that's upcoming and 1 injury retirement, so we have 4 lieutenants total going out with 4 blue shirts chomping at the bit to take their positions. According to the monthly, we average about 7 calls a month to.
Copy, pretty similar stats. We're 7 ambulance calls in June, and a false fire alarm, maybe a false smell of gas inside a house. But we're on pace right now through 6 months from January, 72 calls. So, and most of those being 52 of those being ambulance calls. So, 7 to 10 calls a month. Pretty right on. Been working really well together with Libertyville and backing each other up and coming and responding when needed. Similar to we just hired a new guy. Had a guy that resigned after 5 years, and we were able to put one of our POPs that was on our list go right in the full. Because I know Mike gave the Libertyville one. If you want, I can send you our Lake Forest monthly report as well if you want it.
I would very much so. Yeah, that'd be great.
Get that, no problem.
Okay.
I'll make life easy when I send an email. I'll just send it along.
Yeah. Okay. Good to move on. All caught up, Brian?
All caught up.
All right. Moving on to public comment. The district trustees allocate time for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the fire district trustees on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each person addressing the trustees is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Any public comment? No? No? You are? Okay. Moving on to attorney's report.
It's actually quiet for the moment.
Is that good?
Yeah, I mean, the big bill that had everybody, had the fire service all in cardiac arrest was what they call the secondary employment bill. If you hire a firefighter who, God knows what they'll do then, it's a break in the world again, so. But I'm quiet for now, and Jim Wargo was gonna, try to get here.
Just about to ask you,
Yeah.
or John.
Yeah, Jim Wargo was gonna try to get here, but, it's summer, and attorneys with kids go on vacation, and all of a sudden you need somebody to cover meetings, so Jim was gonna be here, and Jim's at another meeting tonight, because attorneys go on vacation with kids.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, well, no is not an answer, it's like to your other half, so, Jim, yeah, that wasn't directed at anyone in particular at the end of the table. But Jim is good, I'm gonna work to get Jim here certainly in September, but I'm gonna see if I can't get him here in August. Just,
better.
well, right, just so he can meet you.
Yeah.
But in fact, because September's my last month, whoever is my replacement, whatever department, I'm looking to make that a joint meeting, so they can observe kind of the nuances, so.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the 2 things, just nothing in Springfield, and Jim had intended to be here until this morning.
Got it. All right. Moving on to treasurer's report.
Okay. As of June 30th, the Lake Forest Bank Capital Fund had $36,469.94. The checking account will have budget tracking, but I do have a couple other things I want to throw in here on the treasurer's report. There's a couple of things that, procedures that our auditor had recommended a number of years ago that we had been doing, but it sort of fell by the wayside in the last year or two, that I would like to do. They're very minor. One of them has to do with bank deposits. All of our tax revenues and everything are direct deposit, but we do get occasionally, on average, 3, 4, 5 checks a year, something like that. And what the recommendation there is that the treasurer actually prepare the deposit, but one of the trustees actually makes the deposit. Okay. And again, what they're looking for there is just to make sure that you're not getting cash back or something along those lines. And then similar to that too, the other thing is that they ask that one of the trustees go over or review the bank statements, compare them to the QuickBooks statements, and then just initial them, basically say they were verified, on such and such a date, and do it. So, in the past, when I was treasurer and Ed was president, Ed would do that. So it's probably easiest if you nominate one of you to be my contact, and then I can just go ahead and do that. At last month's meeting, I provided with the balance sheet the copies of the bank. Let's pass those down. There's 21 stale checks floating around out there that are all payroll checks. Okay, we need to get that resolved. I mean, the thing that I would recommend is reaching out to these individuals, and I suspect, Marcy, you're probably the best person for that too, because of the association.
Yeah.
That you can, and just say, look, cash those checks later. So you can't trust them to do that, so you would have to issue stop orders. Stop orders cost $30 a piece. So kind of up to the board in terms of, we could issue stop orders and deduct that amount from the check. Or the district could eat it, or you could just take the risk that they're not going to cash them, or will come back to you. Those are kind of your choices. For anybody who we really can't get a hold of, or eventually I will have to turn the money over to the state. And the unclaimed property, let's see, it has to be done by November 1st. So on November 1st of 2019, we'll cover the time period from July 1st of 15 through June 30th of 16. These are all from 18, so we'll sit on the money for 2 years. It's about $8,000. We did this once before, and it was when we switched from Northern Trust to Lake Forest Bank. There we didn't have to do stop orders because I gave them some time and then I just closed the account. So that was that. And actually, we had about the same number, and every one of them, except only one of them that got reissued from the one we did a year and a half ago, still hasn't been cashed, and that's Eric.
Kind of as a side note to that with the bank, I've reached out to them, I've sent them everything as far as to be a signer, but I've heard nothing back.
Oh, okay.
So,
I got an email from them, probably about 3 weeks ago, basically saying they had gotten yours and Amy's, but they hadn't gotten Dave's. And I said, well, that Dave was on vacation, and I was going to...
So Carl, there's your treasurer's aid.
Great.
Would you like to make a motion to approve treasurer's report?
Make a motion to approve treasurer's report as read.
I'll second. Roll call vote. Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Malinowski? Yes. Trustee Bernstein?
Yes.
All right. Approval of outstanding invoices.
Okay. The total checks from last month of $11,511.88. So we had $240 to rekey the building, $7,500 is the mortgage payment. Ed is $119.83. North Shore Gas $113.25. Chicago Media Group was for publication of the notice. Comcast phone and internet $179.03. sewer was 2412. Allison Bids, our legal fees, $2,801.95. The Visa bill was $375, and then Impact Networking, which is the quarterly maintenance on the big printer copier upstairs, $135.50. So that gives them a grand total of
$11.88.
Dave, just FYI, since you weren't here last month, the $375 charge was for the renewal of our dues to the Illinois Association of Fire Protection Districts, because that had gotten somehow lost in the shuffle with the old board. And so we needed to do it right away. So rather than just sitting in the check, I just put it on the Visa card. But we rarely use that. The main thing is it's tied to the Amazon account. So like if we need to order office supplies or paper or something like that, that's probably about the only thing it normally get used for.
Okay. I'll go ahead and second Trustee Prince's motion. Roll call vote. Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Malinowski? Yes. Trustee Burstein?
Yes.
Okay. Item 11, discussion regarding building use and maintenance. So I've received a couple of inquiries regarding the use of Zorba, was involved with the Boy Scouts of America. Previously, they used the building for just as a different location, or if they had something planned and there was inclement weather. Already provided me with a copy of the liability insurance, which I've already forwarded to you. Didn't want to go ahead and pretty much give them to go ahead without discussing it here. So wanted to let
and the reason, when Marson and I talked about it, one of the reasons we said bring it to the board was, I sent out the policy, y'all have the policy. This is consistent with the policy. It's from the Lake County Sheriff's Office. It's this deputy in the Lake County Sheriff's Office, but it's their Explorer program, which is, it's a sanctioned program sponsored by the sheriff. So it falls squarely within your policy. I think though, as a matter of routine, it would be better if you came to the board. I mean, you're probably going to approve it. It's consistent with the policy. You know, there's nothing untoward about it. So therefore, you could approve it. But I think it's prudent to at least
the vacuum cleaners, bathroom cleaning. If we're going to let people use the building, then we have to certainly think about things such as cleaning the bathrooms, how to get that done. We don't have garbage pickup. I mean, the building's basically just a shell. But I'm sure we'll start to get some hire from the neighborhood if we don't, find some way to get the grass cut.
Mm-hmm.
So those, I just wanted to bring those to the attention of the board, some things that probably really need to be looked at since the building remains vacant.
Yeah. Who did we use before for the lawn maintenance?
I think that was one of Dan's, not his company, but a guy he refers business to.
Okay.
Is it Martine?
No, I think so.
Well, I've got we've got the records and the bills upstairs. So.
Okay.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably the most straightforward. I mean,
Yeah.
you could, talk to the Boy Scouts, but we don't even have a lawn.
I highly doubt that, given the limited scope of the work you're talking about, you're gonna get near that $20,000 formal bidding limit. I mean, God help if you do. I mean, it's gonna be, the Taj Mahal, but, so you're not gonna get near that. But I think it would be prudent to say, hey, here's what we want done, and could you give us
If
some?
we wanted to have an event here that required the use of a kitchen, that would still be possible.
But they
It falls within the scope of the policy, yes.
and that they would be expected to clean it up.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no maid service here.
So, unless anyone else wants to volunteer to do it, I could reach out to a couple of local vendors for landscaping and possibly for the future, if needed. Snow plowing. As far as interior maintenance, I'm not opposed to buying some supplies and bringing my vacuum and vacuuming once a month or something like that. I don't really think we need to have someone do that for the limited use building, is used for, and then for like the Boy Scouts, or for the next item, not next item, but the next use that I had an inquiry on was for next year's primary and general elections. I just received that email probably an hour before the meeting. For events like that, we'd ask them, of course, obviously, to whatever they bring in to take out with them, and we just have to figure out if the building needs to be, or when the building needs to be opened up for these events. One of us would probably have to open it in
Yeah, historically, it's about 5 o'clock. Yeah, you have
for
to
the
come over-
election.
You have to come over and meet them at like 4:35.
And my recollection from the past was they'd come the day before and get all their junk set up. So you need to be available the day before of the election, and then the day of the election, as long as they, dark 30.
Would that be something that we can, I don't wanna say discuss, but, discuss outside of a meeting? Like, let's say I get the notice saying, okay, they're coming in, Wednesday, 7 o'clock, and I don't happen to be available. Can I then reach out to either the two of these, or should I forward that?
Pretty slim.
Really, you're just gonna go? Okay.
I can also reach out to the guy, the clerk at the mobile station. He's got a long link business. I can just see if he's interested and
Yeah,
get several bids.
and then we can, send, if you get one, send it to Carl.
All
That'd
right.
be okay for you, Carl?
Yeah, I
I'll
can
send it to you.
Yes, I can be your clearinghouse, not a problem.
Yep, all right. And before we move on to 12.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to item 12, discussion possible action regarding sale of Rockland Fire Protection District building. Any updates, Brian?
Yeah, I received a call from Mr. Klugian, the gentleman who tendered the winning proposal, and I explained for the third time to Mr. Klugian that a Supreme Court rule prohibits me from talking about this with him when he's represented by attorney, which he represented on several occasions he was. And I told him the severity of it was such that if I violated it, I could lose my license. And I said, I'm really not interested in losing my license over this. So I suggested to Mr. Klugian that he reach out and talk to the board. He said, who can I talk to? I said, talk to the board. And I gave him President Malinowski's contact information. I know he's interested. The conversation, that phone call suggests he's interested, but I said, if you want me to have you talk to your attorney, I'll be happy to talk to your attorney, but I said, I can't talk to you. You should talk with him, the attorney can talk with me. He confirmed in a comment to me that he's just trying to save attorney's fees, which I understand. He doesn't want to get his attorney involved if he doesn't have to get his attorney involved. But I don't know what his issues are, because I shouldn't know what his issues are.
So when I hear from him, it's all right for me to talk to him and figure that out and forward
Right, well,
anything on to you?
as long as there's no objections from your counterparts in crime here. I mean, you need somebody to act as the point man. I can't do that for you. I could work with his attorney, and of course, if his attorney says anything, I'll send all three of you out. I mean, that's not a problem, but I can't work with him on it.
Right direction of the copies of the studies and analysis that were done that led up to the consolidation, just for my own knowledge, so I can read up on those.
There is no such thing.
Well, they had those
Well,
things.
I think that you did a study of the three.
Well, I used the information that we handed out at the Lake Bluff. Lake Bluff handed out some document, I don't remember, but I incorporated the relevant parts of that into the little memo I did.
But as far as the district, I mean, and this is, as you know, was my complaint all along, was that no analysis was ever done. No impact analysis, no projections on service were ever done. No true financial analysis was done, just a sort of it'll cost about this much is done. So those documents don't exist.
I mean, there you have, in fact, I think I did two memoranda,
Yes,
if I
you did.
recall correctly. I think I did one initial one, and then there were revised proposals tendered, and I think, I mean, I had my notes, which I shared with the board, but, and in fact, I know members of the public got that too, because I made sure of that. That's fair. But I don't know of anything else.
Something you want to look into again?
Amy, I'll look through my stuff and see if I have like PDFs of that stuff that I can email you, the memoranda, because at least that's something. Those should be somewhere up there. I mean, presented at board meetings, so they should be up there somewhere where they are. I couldn't begin to tell you.
May I comment?
Yes, absolutely.
This is by, so it would be knollwoodneighbors.org. And it gives sort of a chronology of events.
So there's like no processes or anything that we could possibly review, just to make sure that this was the best thing for the community consolidation?
The only thing
Best for the community?
was the report that Brian prepared, which did not support the action that was taken.
One, I've seen that one, I've read that one.
So that's what-
I mean, that's the only report that I recall.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 6:43 PM.
Second.
And voice vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.